All right, shalom to you Hebrews and much love to you Hebrews. This is joining the Israelite Brotherhood family. You know, this Israelite Brotherhood. And man, I want to do a recap on this Israelite history. You know, I've been a little busy, but it's time to do a little recap, on the history. And, I know some of you Hebrews ain't had a chance to watch all the videos, but I encourage you to do so. And this is a little recap, and I'm going to get to the main points, what happened to us Israelites. The Israelite Brotherhood is the only one that's documenting what actually happened to us Israelites and how the other Israelite groups, men, are using Jewish history. I explain that to a whole lot of Hebrews that I meet out in the field, that a lot of the Israelites are using the Jews' history and then trying to present that as our history, and then how they basically get confused by the Sephardi Jews, by the Sephardi's who can have pigmentation. A lot of Israelites get confused by the Sephardi's and think that they are Israelites throughout history. There's been a lot of Israelites see pigmented people, men in history claiming the Israelite heritage of off covenant land, and Israelites automatically think that they are Israelites and that's Israelite history. And I be showing you Israelites that's false, and that you got a lot of Israelites. The majority of the Israelite community is going to be using Jewish history unless you sit down and listen to the Israelite Brotherhood and understand what's going on. It's plain and simple as that. You're going to be using Jewish history, and a lot of the Israelites, think that the Jews entered the Israelite heritage off the Khazar history. And I proved that that's false. I proved that that's false over and over. That how the Sephardi's been in our heritage from day one when we stepped out of Egypt coming into the promised land, how they tricked us. All right, Ashkenazi got in our heritage during the Babylonian Wars and been there ever since. The Creator green lighted him to come into the Israelite heritage or come into the land. It's evidently that whoever come into our land is going to claim our heritage the same as the culture that we Israelites give to the world. Man, people going to start claiming, man, it's like now, our ancestors, no matter how wicked it done turned, but because everything gonna turn wicked under the Amorite culture, but how rap, blues, and all the other musical talents and all other kind of talents that we created, but how others kind of fostering it and creating it, a version as their own and calling it their own. Well, that's what happened to the Israelite heritage after we was driven out. Yes, we was driven out. And a lot of Israelites don't understand this. Man, it's a lot of Israelites still believe and try to embrace the Egyptian culture and heritage, not knowing that that's what destroyed us Israelites in our last days. Man, we're a special people, man. We're a special people, and we can't align ourselves with no ethnic group that's not pushing a Yah agenda. Is what destroyed us and what's destroying us now, because you got, Israelites, man, that they just loose and don't have no idea of what's going on or what's been going on. It's basically, the system, try to get us to worship the fallen angelic beings, history, and gods and culture, and, whatever form or fashion they can get it in under us. And that's all that's going on. But, you Israelites that's just coming to the Israelite Brotherhood family, hey, man, I'm trying to tell you that, you've been blessed in a sense, because now you get to see what really happened to us and how we broke covenant. And like I say, man, it's a lot of Israelites believe in the Egyptian culture and try to embrace it. And that destroyed us in our last days. So if any of you Israelites believing in the Egyptian heritage and culture, that destroyed us Israelites. I explained over and over, and I'm gonna start showing some. You know what I'm saying? I got some history in the other videos, but how I'm gonna specifically show how the Egyptians had to do trade. I mean, the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the Promised Land with the Mesopotamians. Now, they wasn't finna go all in the deserts and hang out. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nothing down there. So, they trade was all up around here. And all even in Afghanistan, man, the Egyptians had trade everywhere. All up in here, man, doing trade with all these folks, especially the Hittites and all these folks. All these folks was connected to the Egyptian culture and heritage in some kind of way. And then when we Israelites get the covenant, well, the blessings from Almighty Yahweh, which gonna start back from Prophet Abraham leaving these wicked areas in Mesopotamia where they worship the fallen angelic beings and going to the root and heart of it, which was the Canaanite Amorite culture that they had in Jerusalem. Almighty Yah had to have us in the position to where when he, was going to destroy the Amorite culture that they had, the old Zionist culture that King David put his lights out, but we had to get put there first, you know what I'm saying, in order to destroy the old Amorite culture that turned wicked. We followed in his footstep and was driven out the land. All right, us being here jeopardized a whole lot of trade and so forth was going on, and I can show what Pharaoh gonna be and peep this. You know what I'm saying? That the Creator was with, Prophet Abraham is when Prophet Abraham come into Egypt. And then old Pharaoh took our mama Sarah, and then old Pharaoh realized that Prophet Abraham ain't worshiping the fallen angelic beings. And he ain't worshiping the fallen angelic beings, Ra-Patah, Amun Ra-Patah and all them, Seth and all those Egyptian fallen angelic beings that's identical to the fallen angelic beings that's in Mesopotamia. It was a serpent, and the serpent was here on earth. I got videos explaining how the serpent, got off into the population through Cain and changed his looks and so forth, because we know that, man, it was two creations. It was a serpent here, you know what I'm saying? But, man, before, Almighty Yah created us, that it was a serpent, roaming around on earth, and not the serpent that you think a snake, but this snake could talk and had heels and so forth. I show images of it in the other videos, and then how that it went over into the human population and so forth, but how that the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians was connected to that, and long as we did the covenant, man, that stopped them from connecting. Well, Pharaoh gonna be them peep this, doing that we was connected to the Creator during Prophet Abraham time, when Prophet Abraham came into Egypt, and then old wicked Pharaoh snatched our mama Sarah up, and then, Almighty Yah got into Pharaoh's mind, and then Pharaoh kicked Prophet Abraham up out of Egypt. Well, Pharaoh gonna know then that Prophet Abraham didn't worship the Egyptian gods. He gonna know that Prophet Abraham didn't worship the Egyptian gods, and that we was going to Canaan. Now we got to start thinking strategic when we look at our history, and we got to think in a strategic way when we look at our history of what happened to us and how we got tricked. You know what I'm saying? And then we can devise a strategy of how not to get tricked in the future. We got to start thinking strategic with this Israelite history. But Prophet Abraham got kicked up out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And Pharaoh gave him a whole lot of stuff. And then he gonna have to know. He gonna have to know that Prophet Abraham is going to Canaan, where the Canaanites said that he finna set up there. You know, and then I believe that Hagar being placed with us, you know what I'm saying, was a plant. And then I believe that when Joseph was given Asenath, that was the biggest accomplishment that Pharaoh accomplished on the Israelite nation. And the Pharaoh gonna be the boss, man. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be the boss, the king, thinker, man, of all these people, man. And then I show in videos that when Joseph was given Asenath, that was our downfall, because the tribe of Ephraim kept an Egyptian connection. Man, I proved from Jeroboam being kin to the Egyptians all the way down to the Egyptians letting the Israelites into their nation, and then how that would destroy us, and how that Pharaoh was a strategic thinker way back then with dealing with the Israelite nation. We was defeated by Pharaoh. Basically, Pharaoh, the Egyptians defeated the Israelite nation first. That's why come all these nations and peoples uphold the Egyptian system in principle, because it defeated Almighty Yah's plan in the past. But Almighty Yah said all this would happen. So it's like it's really not defeating us, because we get another chance, man, to go at it, and how we supposed to know everything. And this come from strategic thinking. We looking at Israelite history strategically now. We looking at the Israelite history and heritage strategically now. We ain't just passively been accepting this and gollying around. Oh, we Israelites and how we just happy. No, we thinking strategic about our Israelite heritage now, and that's what the Israelite Brotherhood do. All right, we know that when Prophet Abraham come into Egypt, and then Pharaoh gonna kick him up out of there and give him a whole bunch of stuff. And then he gonna go to the promised land, Canaan, and post up, and then he gonna have Isaac, and then Isaac gonna have Edom and prophet our father Israel, prophet Jacob, and then that's when it all just really gonna start to formulate, because our father told his sons, don't go into the culture and the tribes that's surrounding us, and the Canaanite tribe, and how Edom went dead into them and got infused in them and become one with them, and how we Israelites held on to our father's saying, but by just not messing with them folks and just totally abandoning the heritage back then. Even though, like I say, the scriptures tricked us in the end, and I'm gonna show this, but during Prophet Jacob time, how we was given a warning not to mess with them Canaanite folks, and it wasn't them. Almighty Yah not judging the physical. You know what I'm saying? Like you physically in your degree, man, the pigmentation. Even though when he put Tazareth on individuals in the Bible, it was a sign of punishment. As I know that the fallen angelic beings had to get some punishment put on them, for going into Yah's creation, and that'll be Tazareth. And then I know that Cain gonna have it. Cain gonna have Tazareth, and that how the Amorites mixed up with Cain, and then they would have Tazareth, and then how that that would be the lightning of the pigmentation and so forth, and then how that that's where that come from, the lightning of the pigmentation to where it's no pigmentation at all, is because the Nephilim got into the creation, and Almighty Yah marked them. It was a mark on them to separate them, men, from us. And plus, some of them serpents, man, they was digging down in the Turkey getting gold and stuff. I got plenty of videos of showing y'all about them 36 cities underground that held 30,000 in each city. 36 cities underground in Turkey held 20,000 people apiece, hundred thousands of them living underground. And how our sin, the Israelite sin, made them come above ground and start moving around and stuff. All right, back to this. All right, so we know that, when Prophet Abraham come into Egypt, that Pharaoh had some contact with Prophet Abraham and realized that Prophet Abraham didn't worship the fallen angelic being. So Prophet Abraham gonna be kicked up out of Egypt. And look, all right. And now the Elohim said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house and unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thee name great, and thou shalt be a blessed. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Elohim had spoken unto him. So you see, that would make Prophet Abraham, righteous. You know what I'm saying? Is that he did what Almighty Yah told. Almighty Yah presence only left this earth is because our Israelites sinned, and then how that the curses and so forth had to play out, and Almighty Yah had to be away in order for them to play out, even though he watching over the Israelite nation and peoples. All right, so Abraham departed as the Elohim had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son. Man, Haran gonna be controlled by them Egyptians back then, and all their substance that they had and gathered, and the souls that they had got in Haran, and they went forth and to go into the land of Canaan. Into the land of Canaan they came, and Abraham passed through the land, into a place of Shechem, and in the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land, and the land appeared unto Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give thee. And the Elohim appeared unto Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give thee this land. And there built he an altar unto the Elohim who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence men unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, giving Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he built an altar unto the Elohim, and called upon the name of the Elohim. So he calling upon Almighty Yah. And Abraham journeyed, going on still toward the south, and there was a famine in the land. And Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there for the famine. Same as our father Jacob went to Egypt. A whole lot of folks had to go to Egypt, you know what I'm saying, during them times, but when famine hit, Egypt had a big economy and stuff. And like I say, they did trade all around, you know what I'm saying? They controlled the trade all the way from Afghanistan, you know what I'm saying, up to the Caucasus, and up to where them Hittites was, and so forth. And that how that they had grain and all kind of stuff coming in from all other lands. So it would make sense to go to Egypt as our father did, Abraham. All right. And it come to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman, a beautiful woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they shall kill me, but they will save thee alive. And that's what they did back then. You know what I'm saying? They kill the man, take the woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she was real fine, like our mama Sarah was, gonna be brown as them Egyptians. Ain't nothing wrong with being black, and the blacker the better. But man, they wasn't creamy like us. You know what I'm saying? But we had that cream brown color, and they was the Nubian man, like the night. You know what I'm saying? It was in the nighttime. You ain't gonna be able to see them. All right, so then, we know our father Abraham gonna come in there, you know what I'm saying? That's like now, if you line us up against a whole bunch of the Africans, even though some of them look like us, then we're gonna look a little different. And then if you see our women, man, and you look at some of them, man, you're gonna hurry up and try to snatch one of the Hebrew women. All right, therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee that they shall kill, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they shall kill me, but they shall save thee alive. Say, I pray thee that thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and for my soul shall live because of thee. And it come to pass that when Abraham was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very, she was fine. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her and commanded her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house, and he entreated Abraham well for her sake, and he had sheep, oxen, asses, and maidservants and mid-servants. You see, that's where Hagar gonna come in. Pharaoh being slick right there. You see, that was strategic. Mid-servants and she asses and camels. You see the mid-servants, and so that when Prophet Abraham get on down, like Hagar being with us, then man, that's gonna be a problem somewhere down the line. You see, Pharaoh gonna know that he ain't gonna be believing in their gods and stuff just coming into Egypt. Pharaoh gonna have spies everywhere. Spies everywhere. I explained this in the video, how the horizon, man, you know what I'm saying? Man, it's on the horizon is how that Pharaoh had a spy system everywhere. Spies everywhere, all over the land. You know? Right? And the Elohim plagued Pharaoh in his house with great plagues because of Sarah. Man, folks probably dropping off, everything going wrong. Pharaoh losing control of trade routes, everything going bad. And then his magicians gonna come in and probably say, hey man, it's that woman that's not believing in these gods, that's not believing in our gods, that's causing these problems. The Egyptians know how to pinpoint it. They gonna pinpoint it, man. They the only people in the land ain't believing in our gods. It's what the Egyptians gonna say. And then that's gonna let Pharaoh know, hey man, she is a problem and he is a problem too. And they worship the real creator. Let's get them up out of here before they make the Egyptian system collapse. You see, that's what was our job was when we was placed in the promised land, was to make the Egyptian system collapse. And we would have did it if we would have stayed on the covenant, but the Egyptians were smarter than us. Look, and Pharaoh called Abraham and said, what is this that thou hast done unto me? What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why didst thou say, she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away in his wife and all that he had. He kicked him up out of Egypt, everything. Get up out of here, is what they told Prophet Abraham. You can take some gold, you can take some sheep, and most definitely take some manservants and some mid-servants, so they could be a snare to you. Whenever you worshiping the Creator, Almighty Yah, the enemy is going to try to find a way to put you in the snare. And that's what happened to us Israelites in the end, when the Egyptians eventually tricked us up off the land. They tricked us up off the land by putting us on their gods when they killed King Josiah, our last chance to do the covenant. All right. So it come to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that behold, Sarah. Oh, I read that. All right. And Pharaoh commanded everything. And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. So he gonna go down into the Sudan. And Abraham was very rich in cattle, silver, and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south even to Bethel. So went on to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. And unto this place of the altar which he had made there at the field, at the first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Elohim. Lot also, which went with Abraham, and had flocks and herds and tents. And and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was so great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdmen of Abraham cattle and the herdmen of Lot cattle, and the Canite and the Perizzite dwelled in the land. You know, the Perizzites gonna be the felon angel, the Nephilim mixture. I show that how they was in the land. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we know that Prophet Abraham gonna get kicked out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Because Pharaoh gonna know that he ain't worshiping the gods, the Egyptian gods. You know, the Egyptians ain't gonna be stupid. You know what I'm saying? And then as we know that Hagar having Ishmael, and Ishmael just ain't just been favorable to the Israelite nation, and ain't been fighting for the Israelite nation, and been somewhat part of the problem too. You know, and then how did we Israelites, man, we basically ain't got no friends. We ain't got no friends. We ain't got no friends when it comes to other ethnic groups. I'm here to tell you. All right, so we know that Prophet Abraham got kicked up out of Egypt and then went back to the promised land because the Egyptians gonna realize he ain't worshiping they gods, and then the Egyptians gonna know that they can't put their hands on Prophet Abraham. So, you know, the Egyptians gonna be real slick, and I believe that's when they sent that them folks with us. You know, the mid servants and maid servants. And then how that some Egyptians always lived among us Israelites. What's the problem? What's the problem? Yes, yes, Egyptians living among us is gonna be a problem, because then you're gonna have at times when we weak, you're gonna have the Egyptians trying to influence us and keep us astray and not on the covenant, and then that's what happened to us. You know, that's what happened to us Israelites. We could never stop doing the Egyptian culture, and then that's what doomed us. All right, so we know that Prophet Abraham, got kicked up out of Egypt. He didn't worship the Egyptian gods and so forth, and that Almighty Yah told him, man, to go to Canaan, because Almighty Yah is smart. I showed, in one video how me and Cheesy was an Amorite, and how the Amorites had a covenant, and how Almighty Yah saved the Amorites when they was thrown off. That's in the history is in the book of Ezekiel in chapter 16. Let me pull it up. Ezekiel 16. Ezekiel 16. Shalom, Hebrew Israelite family. Much love to everybody. And man, we're gonna get our, we basically, our history on lock. We got it together now. We know what happened to us. It's just about waking other Israelites up. All right, look at this. All right. This is Ezekiel 16. This is gonna be the birth of Jerusalem, and we know that Melchizedek is the priest of Salem is Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? And he was the priest when Almighty Yah gave them a covenant. But how they got infused with them Nephilims, as you can see that the Amorites did. The Amorites got infused with the Nephilims, the fallen angelic beings, and so forth. And then how did that would, make their downfall come, and how did they covenant had to be replaced. Look, again, the word of the Elohim came unto me, saying, this is Ezekiel 16, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abomination, and say, this saith the Elohim Yah to Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. A Hittite. And then this is the beginning of Jerusalem. This is his foundation. Look, and the Elohim, this saith the Elohim Yah unto Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite. Now, I can show how the Amorite tribes, everybody know this, got infused with the Nephilims. Got infused with the Nephilims. They would lose their pigmentation. The same, the Hittites ain't going to be nothing but Cain descendants. Cain descendants mixed with them, and they going to be in Turkey. Man, I got a video explaining about the underground cities in Turkey where them folks live at. Well, Almighty Yah had compassion on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they was throwed out in blood. And Almighty Yah had compassion on them and gave them a covenant, gave them a civilization. And then they turned wicked. Man, they turned wicked. And wickedness is going to be just not listening to the Father, but following the sons. Following the sons of Yah. You know, that's what got them in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And that was their downfall. And that was the culture that we was to destroy, because that culture was mixed in with the fallen angelic beings in the serpent. I mean, it was mixed in with the serpent, and Almighty Yah was against the serpent going into the human population. And that's why I come throughout Tanakh history when they call folks beasts, that beast. He's a beast, or calling beasts because they had that serpent fused in their bloodline, their genealogy somewhere. But you know what I'm saying? It's like this. Look. And said, this saith the Elohim, minister Jerusalem, thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother an Hittite. And as for thy nativity, in the day that thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supply thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pitied thee, to do any of thee unto thee, to have compassion upon thee. But thou was cast out in the open field to the loading of the person in the day that thou was born. And when I passed by thee, and I saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when I saw thee polluted in the blood, live. Yeah, I said unto thee that thou was in thy blood, live. And I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field. So you see, Almighty, I had compassion on him. And Melchizedek was that priest. He was that priest of that order. But because them folks start mixing in real heavily with the Nephilims and the serpent and so forth. And let me show y'all that it was a serpent. As I show in all the videos, or a whole bunch of videos, that it was a serpent, that we wasn't Almighty Yah's only creation. And this serpent, he ain't gonna have no pigmentation, and how he gonna have Tazaret. He gonna have Tazaret on him. Alright. Look here. Now the serpent was more suitable than any beast of the field which the Elohim Yah had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, hath Yah said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden. See, because he was told, he already know. Slick, did Yah tell y'all not to eat from all these trees? And then the woman gonna point out the tree that Yah say not eat. And then that's the one that the serpent focus on. He know that if you eat that tree, you're gonna be wise, you're gonna be able to see, you're gonna be able to understand, and tricked her. And that serpent had hands, a mouth, feet, and everything, because we know after the fact that Almighty Yah said this. And the Elohim said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, that thou art cursed above all cattle. And then he become lazy, and above every beast of the field. Whereas he was working at first down in them holes down in Turkey and other places getting gold and stuff. Then now he gonna become lazy, and then being lazy ain't good for the body. It ain't good for the body and stuff. All right. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. His heel. Now, what snake got a heel? I show all the time how the Egyptian snakes had a heel, and how they worship the fallen angelic beings. You know what I'm saying? And then that would be the problem, that Prophet Abraham would be placed there to get rid of when he had his sons who would have sons that would multiply and worship Almighty Yah, which the Israelite nation was supposed to be. And then how our enemies constantly tricked us. So we know that Melchizedek was a priest over that old covenant that the Amorites had before they turned wicked. And you can see that the Amorites made it with, you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of different groups. Look, the Horites and all them, the Amalekites, all them gonna be Cain descendants. Not the Canaanites, but Cain. Because they not listed up under Noah's sons' genealogy, Ham, Shem, or Japheth. Alright, so we know that, we get placed in the land, and if we get placed in the land, and that, them folks gonna know that we supposed to destroy them. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's like this, alright? For I know him that he will commit, alright? And men destroying them is not believing in their gods. Look, therefore shall laugh them, so this Almighty Yah and them finna go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and our mama Sarah laughed when the heavenly host told her that she was gonna have a baby. You know what I'm saying? And then, it goes from there, alright? And that would be Isaac. Alright? Is anything too hard for the Elohim? At the time appointed I would return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid, and said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men arose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Elohim said, Shall I hide from Abraham the thing that which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? Because all the nations of the earth will be blessed in us Israelites coming into our Israelite heritage, which could kind of like put an end to capitalism and the tax system that's destroying the earth. Oh man, it's destroying the earth for sure. All right. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed to him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Elohim to do justice and judgment. That's all the covenant was, justice and judgment. That the Elohim may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken unto him. You know what I'm saying? And that was supposed to come past through the Israelite nation, but the Egyptians gon' trick us. And I'm gonna show this. Alright. We know that, when Prophet Abraham had Isaac, and then that, Isaac had Jacob, and then there was famine in the land. First Joseph was sold to his to the Egyptians, you know what I'm saying, through the Ishmaelite tribes. I think the Ishmaelite tribes played a part in that, but Joseph was sold, you know what I'm saying, to the Egyptians, and then the Egyptians gonna see that Joseph is not worshiping the fallen angelic beings, and the Egyptians gonna know that Prophet Abraham done come through there, and then here come another Hebrew that don't worship the Egyptian gods. Man, the Egyptians don't be real tentative and real aware of this, especially Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is a strategic thinker. He's a strategic thinker. You know what I'm saying? He the most strategic thinking person is gonna be Pharaoh. Alright, and Joseph, alright. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him out of the hands of the Ishmaelites. Look, you see how the Ishmaelites and them played a part? You know what I'm saying? And the Ishmaelites gonna spring up off Hagar being the Egyptian. You see how Pharaoh thinking strategic when the handmaids and the male maids left with Prophet Abraham? Well, Hagar gonna be an Egyptian. And you see how they playing a part in interacting with the Israelite nation. All right, the Ishmaelites is gonna be descendants from the Egyptians, and how that they done brought Joseph down into Egypt. You see what I'm saying? As a slave. And then I'm not saying all this is part of y'all will, but we got to see how the people that are not us are not gonna help us, and they are basically for our harm. That's like in our communities now. Man, our community is overwhelmed by foreigners owning all the businesses, slowly putting our lights out. So that's why come we Israelites got to start thinking strategically now. We got to start thinking strategically now because our survival depends on it. All right. And this master saw that look. And Elohim was with Joseph, and he was and he was a prosperous man. And Joseph gonna keep to his father's teaching about worship. You see, it's about what you think. It's about what you think is what Almighty Yah judging you about what you think and who you believe in. So we know that Joseph not gonna go to Egypt believing in the Egyptian God. His whole stay there in captivity, and how he gonna worship Almighty Yah, as shown right here. Look, and and his master saw that the Elohim was with him, and that the Elohim made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And he gonna know that Joseph ain't praying to Amen Ra and the Egyptian gods, Horus, As, and all of those stuff. The Pharaoh dude gonna see this, and then he gonna peep. He praying to the original creator, the real creator, and he gonna sit back and let Joseph do his thing. He gonna know not to touch Joseph. Why he believing in Almighty Yah too. That's one thing I tell you, Hebrews. We could believe in Almighty Yah in the Egyptian system, and they can't do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing. They whole trick is to get you from doing that. That's why we have to think strategic now. We got to start thinking strategic as Israelites. All right. And Joseph found grace in the sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his whole house. And we know what happened with that. That Joseph become man of the house, and that Pharaoh, that priest dude, gon' Potipori, gon' let Joseph be head of the household. That woman gonna be looking at Joseph, because if Joseph taking everything, I guess she figured he could take care of her too, and tried to get him to do it, and he wouldn't do it, and then they got him sent to jail. Got him sent to jail, and it's like remembrance here in captivity, how a lot of Israelites done lost their life from women accusing them of doing things. And that happened prevalent to the Israelites in captivity here in the Americas and so forth. Whereas the enemy woman will say, he looked at me, he tried to rape me and so forth, and then the brother loses his life. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That used to happen all the time. All right, so we know that Joseph was there, and that Joseph ain't gonna worship. Joseph ain't gonna worship the Egyptian gods. Pharaoh gonna see this. Pharaoh gonna hear about this, and Pharaoh gonna find out about this, and then how that Joseph was given Asenath, the priest's daughter. Now, dude gonna be real slick. Dude gonna be real slick. Look, we see that it was a Potipori. All right, Potipori. All right, Potipori, the priest of On, and On is gonna be Halapolis. That's gonna be where the Egyptian gods and false idol worship kind of like got its start and was at its height and developed in Halapolis, the city of On. And they got one of its obelisks here that we would have seen when we was in captivity. They got one of its obelisks here in Central Park, calling it the Cleopatra Needle. Calling it the Cleopatra Needle. Man, our enemy's been tricking folks for a long time. I'm trying to see if I can run across that image somewhere. I know I had it somewhere. But that's called the Cleopatra needle. And the Cleopatra needle, this right here, that's the Cleopatra needle, and that's at the own in the Bible is Heliopolis, and that's where we got enslaved at. Our ancestors would have seen this pyramid right here. Look, all right. We Hebrews would have seen the obelisk in Prophet Moses' time. Egyptian city of Heliopolis, owned around 1450 BC. You know what I'm saying? BCE. So, and this is in Central Park. And then this is the Pharaoh Necho. He would kill King Josiah when he cleaned us up of the Egyptian religion. See, the Egyptians been thinking strategic the whole time on us on how to get us up off that covenant by knowing that we didn't worship their gods all the way from Prophet Abraham's time. You see, and then Prophet Joseph there, and then he ain't worshiping the Egyptian gods. Oh man, Pharaoh ain't gonna be sitting back and let us set up shop in Canaan right there, knowing that he had to do trade and we didn't worship they religion, and then he's seeing our blessings from Almighty Yah. Pharaoh ain't gonna be too happy about that. Pharaoh is not gonna be too happy about that, and how he gonna think strategic. He gonna know that we gonna set up right there, and that's gonna be blocking us from doing trade. Meaning what Pharaoh, his priests, his officials, them gonna get together, and they gonna say, hey, they gonna be blocking us from doing trade. We ain't gonna be able to go across their land if they set up and start worshiping the Father, the true creator, and how that we don't have no power worshiping the God's sons, or worshiping the sons, or believing in sons. So the Egyptians gonna be slick, and then they gonna plant Joseph with Potiphar, who gave Joseph Pharaoh gave Joseph Potiphar's daughter. Now this the Pharaoh, now the Pharaoh giving the priest's daughter to Joseph. Man, you know the priest ain't gonna like that. The priest ain't gonna like that, man. He giving my daughter to one of them Yah worshipers. And because it's Pharaoh, he had to lay down. He couldn't do nothing. Pharaoh thinking strategic. Look, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephaniah and Peninnah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. That's where that obelisk come from that they got in New York, that they called the Cleopatra needle, tricking everybody. It was from here. All right, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, and Joseph went out all over Egypt. All right, Joseph gonna have two sons. And unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of the famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, born to him. Pharaoh gonna be real happy. Now he in the house. Now he in the house. Joseph, one of the prophets of Yah, he got children by him. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptian system got children by him. You know, the Egyptians gonna be thinking strategic. And Joseph went, and unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, born to him. And Joseph called the name of the first Manasseh, and for Yah said he had made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for Yah had caused me to be fruitful in the land of Egypt. Now it's gonna be the tribe of Ephraim that bring the whole Israelite nation down. Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim. He gonna be the next event after we get in the land, and then Solomon chased him into Egypt. You know, after King David's death, and then Solomon get on the throne, and then how Solomon chased Jeroboam, who was from the tribe of Ephraim, into Egypt. And then he come out with the Egyptian system and put it on the whole northern kingdom, on 10 tribes. On the whole 10 tribes. And we never recovered. We recovered during King Josiah's time, but he was killed by the Egyptians, and then we was driven off the land into Africa, Egypt, where we was enslaved from. All right, look here. So we know that the tribe of Ephraim is mixed with the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? That they come off an Egyptian stock because they mama. Because they mama. Now look at this here. We're gonna see this here. Alright. We're gonna see about Jeroboam. Alright. Alright. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerudah, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zur, lifted up his hand against the king of Solomon. Look, and Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled to Egypt. But because he was from the tribe of Ephraim. And I just showed how the tribe of Ephraim come off an Egyptian stock. Now look at this here. Way after that. Well, way after that. Look what the tribe of Ephraim is doing. Look what the tribe of Ephraim is doing. And you can't tell me that the Egyptians wasn't thinking strategic when they gave Joseph Ansenet. And then Joseph had two sons, Baal, and then the tribe of Ephraim keeping the Egyptian connection. As I showed that Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim, he got chased into Egypt. And we look at the tribe of Ephraim. Look, this in 735 BC. Look, 753 BC. Look, Ephraim feedeth on wind and followeth after the east wind. He daily increases lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and all is carried into Egypt. That's breaking the covenant. We would never be able to have the covenant if we fooling with the Egyptian system, and some of us going down into Egypt, because we know that Almighty Yah had long time ago said this. He had long time ago said this, that when we come out of Egypt, that how we wasn't supposed to mess with the Egyptian system. You know, we wasn't supposed to mess with the Egyptian system. None at all. And how Almighty Yah stipulated that. You know what I'm saying? And how we wasn't supposed to do none of the Egyptian system, follow the Canaanite or the Egyptian culture. And then how that was a law. There was a law, because he said after the doings of the Egyptians and after the doings of the Canaanites shall ye not do. Let me see if I can find that first. And it might be in Leviticus. And if you don't stay in a Tanakh and just stay fresh, man, you'll start slipping and sliding on some of them verses. Alright. Let's see, Leviticus. But after the doings of the Egyptians shall ye not do. You know, he told us he didn't want us doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? That the Egyptians did, and that's all the Canaanite did. You know what I'm saying? That we wasn't supposed to follow after the ways of the Egyptians or the Canaanites, and how that's a law. Let me see. As soon as I put the Tanakh down, I ain't even got to find it. I always do that when I finish the video, then I'll go straight to the verses. But anyway, Almighty Yah told us not to go in the ways of the Egyptians or the Canaanites. You know what I'm saying? Who land we was coming into, and that how that Ephraim was doing the Egyptian will by doing trade. And I say that all this comes from Pharaoh thinking strategic when he, gave Joseph Ansenet. And then how Ephraim kept a trade with the Egyptians, as stated right there, carrying oil into Egypt is not a good thing. That was a bad thing because that we wasn't supposed to do nothing that the Egyptians did. You know what I'm saying? And we were supposed to stay away from their culture, and that's what we didn't do. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't do that, and then that's what got us destroyed because the Egyptians was thinking strategically. They was thinking strategically, and then how that we wasn't thinking strategically, and Israelites don't be thinking strategically, but our enemies do. Our enemies do. All right. So we see that Joseph had two sons by Asenath, and that how did Manasseh and Ephraim, and then how did the tribe of Ephraim kept an Egyptian connection to where that it would destroy us because Jeroboam went to Egypt, and then when he come out, he come out with the Egyptian belief system that he put on the people, and then that's all Pharaoh thinking strategically, and then that would destroy us. That would get us destroyed and driven off the land during Prophet Jeremiah times is basically what it really boiled up to, and it gonna come from Pharaoh thinking strategic. So if it's any Israelites believe in it, in the Egyptian system, man, you're crazy because that's what destroyed us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go to the book of Jeremiah. After they killed King Josiah, trying to get across the promised land to help the Assyrians, and that how that man the Egyptians killed King Josiah, and then they would put us on Egyptian religion, and then Almighty Yah said we couldn't do the Egyptian religion on the promised land, and that how we was driven out into Africa by Ashkenazi under the name Scythian. Ashkenazi coming to our heritage under the name Scythian, and he settled in Scythopolis, what later become known as Scythopolis, the head city of the Discopolis cities. As I explained in a post on Facebook, how there wasn't no Israelites in the promised land after the Greeks came, and how the Greeks don't kill the exiles after they killed the Persians. The Persians were the exiles' protectors, and then how that the exiles were destroyed. I explained how it couldn't be no two covenants, one broken, and then us doing the covenant, that how we would have perished, the ones that broke the covenant, if the ones that come back from Babylon did the covenant and was to represent Almighty Yah's nation, and laws and so forth, and that how did they sin so bad, and then that'd be these books right here, men that cover that history, men that cover the exiles history. You know what I'm saying? That them books cover the exiles history, and when the exiles come back, that was like a 1%. When not even 1%, when we was captured, when some of us was captured during the Babylonian Wars, some of us was taken to Babylon, Mesopotamia, and then these are the prophets that covered them and kept their history when they come back. And they ended at 430 BC, like 98 years before the Greeks get fully in the land. And when the Greeks come into the land, they took the land as owners, and the land have switched hands from a whole lot of different nations and civilizations to where that the Israelites, the real owners of the land, were killed off, the little exiles, and how the majority, the 99%, was in Africa because we said that we wanted to do the Egyptian religion, and that caused slavery that we are in now, right now today, captivity. All right, this is what we see right here. First we tricked, Almighty Yah. Tricked the prophet Jeremiah. When we was doing the Egyptian religion, and then the northern kingdom got broke up, and then some scribes was placed in our land during the Assyrian times in 722 BC. some scribes was placed in our land, and then while we was on the Egyptian religion, while the northern kingdom was on Egyptian religion, some scribes from Mesopotamia was placed in our land. You know, if we friends on the Egyptian religion, make you friends and make you neutral to all other religions and groups and ethnic groups, like this American Amorite society where it's supposed to be the melting pot, everybody all one. Well, the Egyptian system did that, and it had our eyes blind. See, Pharaoh thinking strategic, and then them people was placed in our land in 722 BC while we was being chastised for doing Egyptian religion. You know, the fighters, I explained in the video how the fighters had to be taken up off the land, the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, which sprung that 10 lost tribe myth come from that. How those three tribes was trying to protect the Egyptian religion on the promised land, and how the creator sent the Assyrians in to kidnap them. And then, look, let me show them being kidnapped. Kidnap them, and then everybody else will be vulnerable to the folks that was placed in our land because the fighters was taken away. You know what I'm saying? If you go to First Chronicles, and then you get over to verse 18, First Chronicles 5, verse 18, the sons of Reuben, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, valiant men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war, were 440,703 that went out to war. And the Yah of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them to Hala, Harbor, and Hur, until the river goes on unto this day. So then they got snatched because they was trying to protect the Egyptian religion. They was trying to protect the Egyptian religion, and we had been on the Egyptian religion since Jeroboam brung it out during Solomon times in 931 BC. And look, you know what I'm saying? Let's look at that. Let's see that real quick. In 931 BC, he brought that mess out on us from the Egyptians, and it doomed us. It got us kicked out the land. All right. This is 1 Kings 12:28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold. That's Hathor the golden calf, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem, and behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel and the other in Dan. And behold, there come a man of Yah out of Judah. You see, Judah was a problem to the Egyptians. But it was our last holdings that worship Yah, whereas everybody else was on the Egyptian religion. And behold, there come a man of Yah out of Judah by the word of the Elohim unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. You know, Jeroboam gonna be kin to the Egyptians. That's the one Solomon chased into Egypt. You know, I told you that the Egyptians gonna be thinking strategic the whole time. And he cried again. And he cried against the altar in the word of the Elohim, and said, Altar, 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 this saith the Elohim, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. And that shall come to pass under King Josiah, who the Egyptians would kill. The Egyptians would kill him and then put us on Egyptian religion. And then we will be driven out the promised land. And then that's where the book of Jeremiah, the last part that I read, pick up at how we sent the prophet Jeremiah to the creator, saying, what shall we do? What shall we do? And the creator said, go back to the promised land and hold it down. And then how we said, no, the creator didn't say that. And then how we going into Africa to live. And then that's where we was enslaved from, for breaking covenant, because the creator had already set the curses out. He had already set the curses out. But King Josiah cleaned up the whole Egyptian religion, meaning everything. But man, I had mentioned those Babylonian scribes being placed in our land while we was on Egyptian religion and how they was laying in the cut. They was laying in the cut for us to be driven out. So then they could start claiming our heritage. You know, that'd be 2 Kings 17 verse 24. Let's see this. Now these the people that was placed in our land while we was on the Egyptian religion that Jeroboam brung out and put on the northern kingdom. You know what I'm saying? The 10 tribes. And then these folks slide up in our heritage knowing that we was going to get driven out. See, everybody thinking strategic but us Israelites. Everybody thinking strategically on how to get our heritage, but us Israelites not thinking strategically on how to keep it. It's what doomed us. Look, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutter and from Abel and from Sepharavim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. All right, them folks, we didn't never drive out. And then, as I explained, how the people from Sepharavim are the Sephardi Jews today. And how that they had pigmentation. And then how that they were being fused with the Edomites. And then after the exiles were destroyed, and then they stood up and say that they was the Israelites and so forth, that how Ashkenazi would dry them out during the Roman times in 70 AD when their temple was destroyed, when her Edomite temple was destroyed, and then them folks went to Spain, ran across North Africa and went to Spain, and then would eventually come to the Americas and settle it and give it its heritage and laws from Babylon. That's why come America is the daughter of Babylon. That's why come America's the daughter of Babylon is because the Sephardi's from Babylon was placed in our land during the Assyrian times, 722 BC, while we was on Egyptian religion from the Egyptians thinking strategic. And then when we get driven out, these folks will step up and say, we the Israelites. Now the people that drove us out knew about them and was kindred to them. So they didn't drive them out. They only drove us out. And we wouldn't want it to stay with the other peoples knowing that they was killers and killers and would cut your head off, and how it was safer for us to go into Egypt. Guess why? Because the tribe of Ephraim, who was the leader of the northern kingdoms, had contact with Egypt. Now you got to know that if this brother, this tribe got contact with Egypt and going in Egypt meant to do trade, that when a war break out, that's gonna be the most safest place, being that the enemies was coming from the east and wasn't coming from the west or Egypt or coming from that way. So it'd be ideological for us to run into Egypt knowing that the enemies is coming from the east, and that how we had trade with the Egyptians from long time ago. Plus I can show Egyptians leaving with us. Look. All right, Ephraim feeded on wind and followed after the east wind. He daily increases lies and desolation. They do make a covenant with the Egyptians, and all is carried into Egypt. Man, the tribe of Ephraim represented the whole northern kingdom. The whole northern kingdom. So you know, if we going into Egypt, man, to do trade, that when some trouble come, that's gonna be the place that we gonna run to. That's gonna be the place that we gonna run to. You know, you gotta think with common sense. That's gonna be the place that we gonna run to is Egypt. If we doing trade with Egypt already, we doing trade with Egypt. If we doing trade with Egypt, and then all of a sudden, man, we got to leave because the enemies, these folks right here, Ashkenazi, is coming from the east, the Babylonians, and that's how we gonna go where we did trade at, Egypt, where it was safe at. The Egyptians didn't rob us while we was going to Egypt to do trade with them. We was on their religion. If we on their religion, then Egypt though gonna be wide open, because Egypt is thinking strategically. They thinking to destroy Almighty Yah's nation and peoples, so the fallen angelic beings can reign on this earth, as been happening, as been happening, as been happening. You know, we Israelites, man, we all messed up. We all messed up, and we've been messed up for a long time because we don't think strategic while our enemies do. You know what I'm saying? That's like in our community now. We don't think strategic, and our enemies own everything. Everything, because we don't think strategically. We don't think that if we, hey man, if I go spend my money and keep spending my money in that store, that's gonna make him richer and gonna make me poor. And then when time comes, he not gonna look out for me, and that how he gonna look out for his own kind. You know, we don't think strategic like that because we want to be in love with everybody. We want to accept all cultures. You know, that's one of the enemy's greatest gift to themselves and to the world in destroying the Israelite is that they can neutralize the Israelite into thinking that he is everybody, and that everybody is cool with the Israelite, and that we all nations and all peoples. That's like now our enemy is so cold. You know, it's like a lot of Africans to move to America and they didn't go through what we went through. They ain't been through nothing we've been through, and how the system know how to recognize them and us, right? And how the Africans are owning all the businesses, and then our enemies hold the Africans up and say, this is black success. This is African American success, knowing that we suffering and we don't own nothing in the community. We don't own nothing in the community, and we at the bare mercy of our enemies in our own community. But how our enemies are holding Africans up and say, see how the African Americans are prospering. They own a lot of businesses, and the businesses don't be from the transatlantic slave trade descendants who are originally Israelites, but to the Africans who helped enslave us. Yes, yes. All right, Israelites, we know that Pharaoh been thinking strategically. You know, they kept the door open to Egypt, to the tribe of Ephraim, and this is what we did, men, in our last days, man. We told the prophet Jeremiah, you know, after they killed King Josiah for cleaning the Egyptian religion up. Let me show him cleaning the Egyptian religion up. After they killed King Josiah for cleaning the Egyptian religion up, then the enemy would come and chase us out the land. And we would go into Africa to the transatlantic slave trade star. And I got some history going into that. Look, I already showed how that prophet told Jeroboam that someone by the name of Josiah would come and destroy the Egyptian system. Well, 300 some years later, it come to pass. And Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 1 and 30 years. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Elohim, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor to the left hand. See, King David was the standard. For in the 8th year of his reign, while for for in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Elohim of David his father. And in the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and groves and the carved images in the molten image. And they break down the altar in Balaam in his presence, and the images that were on high above them. And he cut down the groves and the carved images in the molten image. He brake in pieces and made dust of them, and stowed it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon the altar, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. So did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali, Naphtali with their mattocks drawn about. And this in 640 BC. This this showed that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, as well as King Josiah's great grandfather, King Hezekiah, had all the tribes at home too. This defeat the 10 lost tribe myth that our enemies been having Israelites believe in. You know, King Josiah, great grandfather, is King Hezekiah. And Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah, and this is in 715 BC. This is 7 years after the so-called Assyria captivity, taking away 10 tribes. That was false. And I show how they only took 3, the ones that protected the Egyptian religion. All right. All right, Hebrews, we will go into Egypt after King Josiah was killed. After King Josiah was killed, we will go into Egypt to worship the Egyptian religion. And we will be enslaved from there. You know, we couldn't stop doing the Egyptian religion. After the Egyptians killed King Josiah, they put his son Jehoiakim on the throne. And then he would, you know, embrace the Egyptian religion and let us to continue to do it. And this is what we said going into Africa, because we had to get up off the land. We couldn't do the covenant land. We couldn't do the Egyptian worship on covenant land. And this is what we said. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our princes, our kings, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And then we told the prophet Jeremiah that Almighty Yah didn't say not to go into Egypt. And it come to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking unto all the people all the words that the Elohim had sent, for which the Elohim, the Yah, had sent him to them, even all these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johan the son of Ker, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, Thou speakest falsely. The Elohim our Yah had not sent thee to say, Go not into Egypt to sojourn there, but Baruch the son of Ner setteth thee on against us, for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans, that they may put us to death and carry us away captive to Babylon. So the people didn't listen, and then they went off into Africa, and here we are now. No matter how long it took the transatlantic slave trade to start, here we are now. You know what I'm saying? So we got to think strategically. And we got to think strategically, man, about our Israelite heritage, man. We got to think strategic, and that's what our enemy's been doing. They've been thinking strategically when dealing with us. All right, Hebrews, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood, and much love to you, Israelites Brotherhood members, and for you, Israelite Brotherhood that's just joining the Israelite Brotherhood family. Much love to you. Shalom.